100%, hands down, that is the first problem, I believe, that needs to be solved.
I will chase you until you die. They'll either tell you to fuck off, or you're going to get okay, cool, thanks very much.
But realistically, you need to work out how you're going to get leads, how you're going to get customers through the door, and how you're going to start making money.
You don't find a client, your company fails very quickly.
Yeah.
I refuse to be the reason someone else is wealthy and successful, and I cannot be a pawn for someone else.
I wrote a 15-page business plan, slammed it on his desk, and said, let's start a business together. And then got a message in my LinkedIn inbox saying...
2.5 years ago, I had severe anxiety, panic attacks, and so on. I will say to this day, and I will always say, without my partner there, I don't know what would have happened.
I didn't have money growing up, like really.
Yeah.
But then the other problem that I had is that I didn't have a pot to piss in. I didn't have any money to kind of see me through that first 6 to 12 months.
I had no leads for 14 months.
Yeah.
The last 4 months, bang.
Last question.
Go on.
How much money is enough money?
That's a really good question.
We did have a really exciting guest booked for today, but sadly he's had to cancel. So we are improvising, and it's just me and Ollie today. We're going to basically talk through a few topics about what we've learned in business for the first year, 2 years. So it's just going to be us today talking a bit, which I think actually from the poll that we put on Instagram, a lot of people were quite interested.
Well, yeah, it was because we thought that it would be an overwhelming only guests type thing. But actually, on the poll, I'll put it up on the screen now as well for video watchers. Actually, it was like an even split between people wanting 2 guests and then one of us individually, or then 1 guest, then just us. Mm-hmm. I think it was like 38% of people that voted on the poll voted for those 2. Mm-hmm. So we just thought, you know what? Why not?
We'll just crack on.
Like, it's great to have guests, don't get me wrong, and the guests we've had before and the guests we've got coming are exciting. Like, they're awesome, but it's also like, I think we jumped over the idea that most people are also here because they've either followed your page,
right,
my Instagram page,
your page as well,
and they've come from then there, and we've both got quite a lot of good amount of followers. Most people actually want to listen to us as well as the guests,
hopefully.
Right. Fingers crossed.
Wishful thinking.
But yeah, so I think, as Sam said, because the podcast is meant to be, obviously it's great to hear people's stories as well. We want to learn how people got to where they were, full stop. That's a big part of it. But also it's a business thing because, as we said in the first episode, we want to talk to successful people of how they got to where they want to be. Yeah. Now, me and Sam are still on our journey.
Yeah.
I'm 18 months in, you're a year in, we're still on the journey. But we thought today would be a really good way to kind of recap, go through what we've done business-wise and the difficulties, the exciting parts, how we've done certain lead gen, social media, all that kind of stuff, and just recap through that. So you can get it from a perspective of people that are going through it, not just hearing the hindsight of people that have done it type thing.
And we've noted down about 10 topics. We'll probably, we'll probably only get through 5. Yeah. Ollie can ramble a little bit. So maybe 3.
I promised I wouldn't do that this episode. I've already done it.
So I think we'll rattle through them. We'll start with one, and then we'll just see how we get on. And then every now and again we'll bring it back and we'll kind of introduce the topic, which we think could be valuable based on the first year in business, things that we were maybe scared about before starting. And we both talked about this, didn't we? We both remember how when you're looking to set up a business, you're just so lost of information. Like, you can sit there and watch as many podcasts as you want, but they might be talking about the journey, and you just get snippets, but you don't
normally
get
like the journey when someone's got it. It's normally after about probably 5 years plus when they've been through the trenches part. Don't really talk about the trenches part, but go to the I've made it now. This was the hard part while I'd made it and had millions coming in type thing, not the I'm trying to make it with £2.50 in the bank account and doing this and that type thing. So
exactly, and it's great to get you pumped up and motivated, but it's difficult to then put that into maybe actionable steps because they're so far ahead of the journey.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I think the first one that we wanted to talk about is actually setting up the business, like where we were at that point in time, the journey of actually going from employed to setting the company up, what those steps involved, how much money we needed, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, talk to me. I don't think we've actually ever talked about your journey, because obviously you was employed, top performing sales negotiator.
Yeah.
Earned what, 170 grand 1 year?
Well, I made 170 grand 1 year. I banked £732,000 for the company I was working for, which hilariously, old managers of that company still dispute to this day, even though I hit what's called the dream car target at my old company.
Oh, you've told me about this.
You had to bank £730,000 in 1 year to hit that target.
For the company, you hit the target.
Correct.
And then what, you just get any car?
Well, I'm not going to go into it because there was a whole thing about it, but you were meant to get a supercar.
Yeah.
I didn't, so be it. But the journey for me was, it was one of those ones where most people look at it and go, you're an absolute moron for doing it in the first place. I was making, I said, my last full year at my old company, I made 170 grand personally.
Yeah.
Bought 3 properties as a result of that up in North Wales where I was at uni, investing in myself, investing in like things like, I quite like art and things like that, bought some nice art for me and my partner. I was living a very, very good life, nice car and everything like that as well. I felt like I wanted to start the company, but I also felt like I had no other choice but to, because I was actually talking to my partner about this the other day. About 2 years ago, you'll know about this, 2.5 years ago, I had severe anxiety, panic attacks and so on. That all came from the feeling that I had achieved everything I could at that company.
Yeah.
And I had, full stop, other than like further promotions, I had. But also I wanted to go a more modern route, change it up a little bit, go something a bit different.
Yeah.
So handed in my notice after a few months of thinking about it. I wasn't one of those people that had it in the pipeline for 2 years.
Right.
Thinking, do you know what? This is just going to keep me going. I'm going to build the budget so I can start my company.
Yeah.
I actually started my company with very little money.
Yeah.
I think I had probably about 10 grand. Well, little money, but I think I had 10 grand for the full setup, website, marketing, everything like that, cost, fees, everything like that.
Forget the cost as well, like the time it takes for you to agree a deal and actually complete and get paid on it. Forget all the costs that you've got to pay up front, but it's actually getting the first deal over the line and getting paid on it is what, 6 months to a year?
I think it took me to get paid on a deal, because the first deals I did were for free, just to get some properties. To get paid on a deal, I started the company on October the 31st, 2022. Halloween, fantastic fun to start it.
Yeah.
I'm the boogeyman of estate agency world. It's brilliant.
Well, you're not going to get told off for knocking on doors on Halloween. So
there we go. Exactly. Sorry, I'm not a child. I'm an estate agent. Don't want your candy. I want your house. Thank you very much.
Some Haribo's on the way home.
Yeah, I was quite fat at the time as well still. But it was one of those ones where I think it took me about 7 or 8 months to even get paid.
Yeah.
Because as a new company, no one knew who you was. Despite how good I was at my old company, I think I was probably the best, if not one of the top 5 normal residential estate agents in London.
Yeah.
Which probably then converts to the majority of the UK, full stop. But no one cares when you're on your own, just started, you've not got the buyers, you've not got anything. So it took me a really long time to just get something on the market to start with. And then I had to start, just keep tracking on. But it took ages to... Registering a company through HMRC and things like that, it's fairly quick.
Yeah, and actually that's all the micro stuff. Because I remember when I was in the kind of interim, I was doing things like, registering the name on company's house and like getting a logo and stuff like that. But actually... doesn't really matter. That's just all the fluffy, exciting bits that you can get buzzing about.
Yeah.
But realistically, you need to work out how you're going to get leads, how you're going to get customers through the door, and how you're going to start making money.
Massively.
So it's
I think I spent for the 3 months that were in between me leaving my company and actually starting to trade as OHRE.
Yeah.
A lot of that time was spent thinking of names and marketing ideas. When in reality, I just realised that, do you know what? My company, old company name, Oliver Howard Real Estate, it sounds so one-man bandy. But I just pick a name and trade.
Yeah.
If it does well, rebrand.
Worry
in
about
a year's
the rest
time.
later. Absolutely.
Do it in a year, exactly. But just get out there and trade. Get your face out there. Get your name out there. And that's what I did. Did all the social stuff and so on. But with my industry, with the estate agency, there's a lot of, you'll have the same thing as well, like money laundering things you got to pay for, and you've got to be part of a scheme as well to protect you as an agent and things like that. And it was a lot of money that just flew out the window straight away. But I believed in the dream, and I set the company up because I refuse to be the reason someone else is wealthy and successful.
Yeah. So you thought about setting the business up because you thought that you did achieve everything you could in that company. From feeling like that to then actually going, screw it, I'm going to hammer notes in and start a business. How long was that? How long did that take?
6 weeks.
Fine. Okay. So it's quite an impulse. Bang, I'm doing this.
It was an impulse combined with I just saw the industry going in a different way.
Yeah.
But it was an impulse because I'd done everything I could at the company, like hit all the targets, did everything I could, felt like I was stuck. Then I started doing the social media, the videos, all this kind of stuff. The company said, sorry, don't you dare do that again, not a chance. And then I had no other avenues to do anything. And I was like, wow, do you know what? I'm quite creative as it is. Like, I hate red tape. Without the red tape now, I just do what I want. Go for it. And like things like my 90-second tours, sprinting around 3-4 million pound houses, making a tit of myself. But I love it. There's no red tape. But it was impulse, but it wasn't at the same time.
Fine.
But I said I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I was thinking of it 2 years beforehand because I wasn't. I was making good money. I was comfortable. If I had been given more goals to hit, there was more to hit, or I'd been given the supercar, probably wouldn't have started my own company. So in hindsight, while it was awful at the time, now they actually did the world for me by not giving me what I wanted at the same time.
Yeah.
So what was it for you then? What was because obviously we're different industries, kind of setups the kind of same, but I don't know. We've not talked about the story.
We haven't talked about this, and it's interesting because as you were speaking, I was thinking, have I? But the thing is, I've always been, and I know you have as well, but I've always been pretty kind of entrepreneurial, trying to make a few quid. Like I didn't have money growing up, like really. Yeah. I had a paper round at 9. Yeah. I was working at a fish and chip shop at 14. Always been working, making my own money to kind of get myself by. Yeah. If I wanted the nice trainers at school, all of that stuff. So for me, I always wanted to set a business up. I just didn't know what it would be. Yeah. So I got into finance very early, 17, I was insurance, then went to Lloyds Bank, 18. When I was at Lloyds Bank, started studying to become a mortgage advisor. Managed to, obviously so at that point I'm 19. Trying to get a job as a mortgage advisor at 19 is like, not many people are doing that. Yeah. So it's very, very difficult and you stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah. So I spun through so many interviews, trying to land an interview with the company, because the way I looked at it was, if I can get a job that pays well, surely that then, as a business model, is then going to pay me even better.
Exponentially.
So my plan was always learn some form of trade. Yeah. Not plumbing, not electricians. I'm terrible with my hands. Like that'd be a shocking idea. But get something that that kind of leans into my skills, which is really good with people. Yeah. Adding value, so helping people with their finances. So it was learn a trade, do a couple of years, and then go and set a business up, whatever that might be. It might not be mortgages, but it might be someone else. Yeah, yeah. Turns out I was, fairly good at it. Enjoyed it. Really nice helping people get on the ladder, that kind of thing. Yeah. So once I landed the job, and that's a story in itself, because that was funny. I had to go through 6 interviews with the first company that I went through. Remember the first day that I turned up there, I turned up, no tie. Yeah. In an estate agency office. Yeah. So I walked in there with no tie, and I didn't know how to do the tie, which I had the tie on me, but I just didn't know how to do it. So I'm sitting there like in my Ford Fiesta outside the office, trying to do up this tie, and YouTube videos like all morning. I'm sweating by this point. I'm trying to do this tie. It didn't work. So I thought, fuck it. Threw the tie. I thought if they like me enough, they'll take me without the tie. So I stormed into this estate agency office, and I was like, hi, I'm here to see Kenton, which is the sales manager at the time. I was like, yeah, I'm here for an interview. And they were like, okay, fine. Called up, Kenton, your interview here, whatever. There's this estate agent at the front. And as I was sitting there, he just goes, throws me this tie. And he goes, yeah, mate, I'd bang that on if I were you. And as the tie is coming towards me, I'm thinking, I fucking hope that it's tied up, because otherwise I'm going to have to sit here and look like an absolute
It's like you're in like a 1970s
idiot.
High school movie where they've got it like really low slung because all they can do is that.
He's thrown me this tie, and I'm like, I'm going to look like an absolute idiot here, because now I'm going to have to pretend that I know how to tie it, and then I'll probably just run out. Yeah. Like, luckily it was already tied, so it's just one bang, put it round, put it up. Walked up, went for the interview. Sales manager was like, it's just been a little bit of confusion because your interview's actually booked for tomorrow. And I was like, so I've turned up a day early. So I sat there, I was like, oh my God.
I mean, there's proactive and then there's 24 hours.
I just went, right, what can I say? What can I say? I was like, Mum's always told me to turn up early. Not 24 hours.
Yeah, I got told 10 minutes early is on time.
Yeah,
24
yeah.
hours is like,
He was like,
next level.
fair play. We had the interview there, 6 on, got the job. Anyway, there's a long way to go around it, but I thought it would be worth mentioning.
Yeah, of course.
So did a couple of years in there, and I quickly realised that if I'm going to be in this industry, the worst thing that I can do, because you know how it is, similar to a estate agency, the longer you're there and the more you start achieving, naturally your income just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And they'll kind of dangle the carrot to get
keep
you
you
like management or whatever and earning more. You could hit this target, this target, this target.
Yeah.
And I looked around the people that were working with me, and most of them were 10, 15, 20 years older than me, naturally. You know, I was 19 when I did my first mortgage. And I just thought, the longer I stay here, the harder it will be to ever leave.
Yeah.
So I can't stick around for too long, but I need to learn as much as I can, bank some decent money, earn some decent money, experience that, and just show that I'm actually competent in the role. But every single person I would speak with would basically say, once you start earning, 60, 70, 80, 100 grand, you then get a bigger mortgage, you've got a big, nice car on a drive, you've got family, you've got kids, and it's so difficult to then walk away.
Yeah.
And I had the advantage, because I was 19, to go, okay, fine, I don't really need that much money.
No.
So let's just, learn the role, do that. And then 2 years on, I was like, right, enough's enough, I'm off. Set up the business, did the limited company, got the logo, and then got a message in my LinkedIn inbox saying, hi Sam, we've got this role coming up. It's kind of a hybrid between employed and self-employed. So it's like a 50-50 split on the commission. Yeah. Kind of, come and go as you please, kind of, with certain expectations. You can work remotely and in the office. And I thought, oh, well, it's a big uplift from what I'm doing at the minute. Yeah. Gives me a bit of an insight to like an independent company, so I could probably learn
Gives
quite
you like
a lot.
the semi-experience of running a company almost type thing.
Exactly, yeah, because you're exposed to different problems because it's a smaller company. Yeah. You're then exposed to, marketing or the accounts or, all of this kind of stuff that you just wouldn't in a big corporate. You're just a wheel in a cog. Yeah. A cog in the wheel.
Small wheel. Yeah.
So I did take that role. Obviously, the company was still there, blah, blah, blah. The limited company was still registered, still had the logo, still had ambition to build a business. Yeah. So joined this company. Went really well, all good. Not a bad word to say about the company other than the fact that, I was just really ambitious and they wasn't able to support that ambition. About a year on, the director found on Company's House that I had a company registered. Yeah. And then, that obviously sparked a conversation. It was like, well, why is this, what, are your plans to leave or what's going on here? And he just said, look, if you're ever planning to do something like that, just come and talk to me. Fine, fair enough. 6 weeks later, not even that, I don't think, I wrote a 15-page business plan, slammed it on his desk and said, let's start a business together. Let's bring your business from where we are now and take it to London. I'm in London all the time. Let's build a company there. Attempted that, kind of, didn't work out, kind of just turned into me still being an employee for this kind of London office that we had. And then I quickly realised, well, actually, I could just go and, do this myself. So I just need to do the maths and go, how many clients do I need to match what I'm earning as step one? So I kind of so for that last year of employment, I was kind of doing my own marketing, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the social media stuff to generate as much business as possible, networking with estate agents. And then I kind of just did the maths and go, well, mathematically, because it was on 50-50 split, I need to do half the amount of business to earn the same. So that's goal one. But then the other problem that I had is that I didn't have a pot to piss in. I didn't have any money to kind of see me through that first 6 to 12 months. And I just spoke to people that I know that had money and reached out to who is now a good friend of mine that has money. He's always talking about kind of invested in stuff and that. I just pitched it and I just said, look, this is my plan. This is what we're going to do. Put together a spreadsheet basically of what we're going to do year on year, which we did exceed in year one, which is amazing. said, do you want to back me? Let's, put some money in. And that's not money for anything extravagant. That is just so I can survive for 6 to 12 months. And then as the business grows, you've got a bit of equity. So we kind of struck a little bit of a deal. That got me through the first 6 to 12 months. And, here we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it though, mate. But it's one of those things that I think we both had that. We're both quite lucky because we both realised, you realised a lot earlier, you wanted to start your company full stop. I didn't realise until way late into when I wanted to leave anyway.
Which surprises me because your dad's in business.
Well, that's the thing. It's like my dad's one of those people that grew up really, really poor, had no money whatsoever, did certain jobs, so on, went on to set up a company, went on to the London Stock Exchange, sold it for a catastrophic amount of money. But the problem was, I think once you get X amount of money coming into the account, you get quite comfortable and you start you see all the stuff on Instagram where it's like, once you've got 20 million quid, you can literally do anything you want. You don't have to worry about the money. Actually, in reality, I was making 170 grand a year. I renovated my own flat, bought 3 buy-to-let properties, bought some art, living a very good life, going out to Michelin-star restaurants every other weekend. At that point, it was like, if I can make some more money, fantastic. But I'm living the life that I want right now.
So actually, you was the guy that I was speaking with at the company. He's going, I'm earning, I don't need, there's no motivation to go.
Exactly. But like I said, without that basically massive disagreement between me and my company, I wouldn't be here.
Fine.
But since setting the company up, I was so buzzing for it beforehand anyway, because I realised what was going on in the industry full stop. But I think we both realised very quickly that we don't want to be, I use the chessboard analogy for a lot of big companies. You've got the king and the queen, which are your CEO, CFO, all your knights, your rooks, your bishops, or all your senior management and so on. The rest of us are just pawns. And I cannot be a pawn for someone else. And I think a lot of the entrepreneurs that go on to do something realize that very quickly and don't get stuck in I'm making lots of money, I've just gone and bought a house, I've got the nice car on my driveway, I can't justify going out and doing something. And I think because we're both quite young, we've got the time to fail as well.
It's a huge advantage.
Everyone, be honest, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30.
Oh, yeah.
So many people say that as well.
Yeah.
But there's no necessity. Because you see people that have set up companies and they've done quite well. I think I'm doing quite well. No, you're doing well. Do quite well for 10, 15 years. They get to 45 and all of a sudden, bang, multi-millionaires in 2 seconds. It's such an expectation. But I know we both have high expectations for ourselves anyway, and we're both trying to do something a bit different. But that includes obviously we do the normal stuff, mortgage brokers, estate agents do. Can't get away from that just yet. But even things like social media, we both have gone for it pretty heavily. You've got 7,300 followers on Insta. I got 7.5. We both got followers on TikTok and LinkedIn as well and things like that. And it's even just little changes change the game full stop. And it's actually capitalizing on that. So anyone starting a company, you've got to find your niche. You got to, my catchphrase, you've got to dare to be different, find your niche, go away from something that clearly works to find something else that also works and do it like that. And things like social media, I had no leads I've been doing my socials for 18 months. I had no leads for 14 months. The last 4 months, bang, I get 50 DMs a day from either buyers, sellers, anything like that, saying, can I see this? Or do you want to come around and value my place? Or my flat's actually under offer. I got one the other day. My flat's under offer with another agent. I don't think they're doing a good job or they've got the right price. Do you want to come around and have a look? So it's pushing through even the hard times type thing. But
definitely. I think that's
going out there and doing something else that's different.
Yeah, and I think 2 things there. So lead generation, that's obviously a topic that we'll talk about. One thing you said there just about doing something different, but also we still are, we've got that traditional business model. We're not reinventing the wheel.
No.
We're just, and I think a lot of people do get caught up on this when they get sucked into that entrepreneur space or need to build a business, get out of a 9 to 5 and all that stuff. And they're trying to come up with some random idea. Actually, what you can do is look at the businesses that already operate and make money and just do it better. And you'll do just as well. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
You need to do a 1% difference. It doesn't need to be from estate agency. I run an estate agency. We do deals the same way. We do conveyancing and referrals in the same way.
Yeah.
Only difference is the marketing, and we're self-employed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the exact same industry, full
Exactly.
stop. And you don't need to go like, because that's what I was worried about when I started as well, is am I actually differentiating myself enough?
Yeah, you're against like big offices that have a high street presence and all that.
You're going up against companies that have been around for 160 odd years. And it's like, that's set in stone. Clearly it works. Like, it's working. I mean, quite a few are closing down now, but it's working. But what can we do that differentiates, actually helps people like me, when I was making a lot of money, make the vast majority of money they were actually bringing in.
Yeah.
So instead of me banking £732,000 for someone else and taking 170, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but I also lost out on, what was that, £560,000.
Yeah, exactly. You could actually you could do 250 as a one-man band,
exactly,
earn more, and have more flexibility, freedom to do what you want.
But you don't have to differentiate. You want to be different. You want to find your niche, but you don't want to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to differentiate yourself so that you are one person in the industry doing a certain thing.
Yeah.
Because certain industries, we're not there yet, technology-wise.
Yeah.
Estate agency, the next big thing, which is what I'm doing, social media, videos, all this kind of stuff. Doesn't sound very futuristic.
No.
But it is compared to what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Until things like VR and stuff like that come in, that's the big change. That's when things are going to flip. But right now, there's only so much you can differentiate.
You just got to be the person to be able to pivot and move with the times rather than get stuck in the old ways, which are the companies that will fall behind if they don't invest in technology and all of that kind of stuff.
Exactly. But like, I think with like we just said about the niche as well, finding your own specific niche, it kind of moves on to lead gen a little bit there as well.
Yeah.
When you pick your niche, you've got to, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to try and work my niche.
Yeah.
Because my whole company is digitally based. It's hybrid, digital based, no offices, because quite frankly, I don't think they're a necessity anymore. However, because I'm not on the high street, because no one can walk past me and go, oh, that's OHRE, I'll go back to them at some point in the future. No one comes to me unless they know me through socials and they come to me then. No one has just called up my office number and said, hey, can you come around and do a valuation? I'd say 95, 96% of all of my instructions and properties come from cold outreach.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of the niche I didn't expect to. I knew I'd have to work hard on it. Yeah. But I didn't realize how hard that was going to be. So I just give advice to people and say, understand your niche first, the limitations of it that were going to come. Yeah, and that's it. And, you know, on lead generation, 100%, hands down, that is the first problem, I believe, that needs to be solved. Because without leads, you haven't got anything. No. You haven't got sales. No. You need leads to be able to generate sales, and then all of the rest of the problems, all the operational stuff, you can then worry about that when that happens. Yeah. But don't get caught up on, you know, oh, what about this and this and this? No. Leads, sales, money in, then worry about the rest of the problems. You've got to find your clients. You say you don't find a client, your company fails very quickly. Yeah. Even if it's one, like you just need one, like I did with my with my company. I think I sent out probably 2,000 leaflets saying between this time and this time, new company, I'll sell your home for free. Yeah. No charges at all to get the name out there. Yeah. I only got one response from 2,000 leaflets. That one guy owns 120 properties across London, and we're now slowly working through. But that one property he gave me to start with allowed me to then go to other properties and say, look, we are new, but look, this is a £2 million house we just brought on as our first property ever. We know what we're doing. But you need that first lead, full stop. And if you're not prepared to go out and cold email, cold call, go and try and find referrals. We said a bit like something like this in the first podcast as well. It's like, if you're not going to do that, your company's going to fail very quickly. Unless you know so many strong contacts already. I did know some strong contacts, but I still had to cold outreach to everyone. Yeah, especially as well, just on that point with lead generation, if you haven't got like huge backing and investment and cash in the bank to heavily invest in marketing and, you know, all of this kind of thing, you need to, you know, roll your sleeves up and just go old school, one step at a time, cold outreach. For me, you know, cold outreach to clients isn't a thing, but meeting with estate agents. So when we first met, it's like, right, this is my lead gen. Because I've got, I went out for lunch with an estate agent today. Last week went out for lunch with estate agents. We're signing them up. So because they, you know, they're dealing with buyers, they can send me clients. And I think it's also not relying on one lead source. So we've got
I think 4 introducers now, main introducers that send us business. They're people that are maybe in the industry, finance or property, that trust us to send them,
send their leads
trust us
to you.
to send their clients to us. But then you've got obviously social media. You're way more advanced with that than me. I need to up my game. So social media, that's it's free other than time.
Yeah.
Depending on your business model, you've then got kind of you've got websites. You got to invest in your SEO.
Yeah.
Ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, all of this kind of thing. You need to have like a few trickling over, because if you're just relying on one source, so if I just relied on you to feed me business and suddenly that tap's turned off, I haven't got a business.
No.
So you need to have it all trickling over. Yeah. And that's really where where the magic happens.
It's like when you're right. You have to roll up your sleeves and do it. Full stop. Like, I hate cold emails. I am amazing at cold emails because I have time to think. I have time to formulate a really good email to send out to people, and I will chase you until you die. Yeah. Full stop. I said it to you. I think I said it either to you or my partner the other day. I've been cold emailing the same vendor every Sunday for 9 months. Yeah. I will keep emailing that same vendor for 9 months, for another 9 months, another 20 months, until they come back to me, because they're not selling with the current agent they're on. Yeah. I will keep reaching out. Eventually, they'll either tell you to fuck off, which I've had a few times. Then you've still got a contact, you've still got a reply, you've still got to them, or you're going to get okay, cool, thanks very much. But things like cold calls, I hate cold calls, but I have to make them because cold emails only take you so far. Cold calls, you get on the phone to someone, if you've got a good pitch, you at least get a response. But like the reality of cold calls and things like that is they have to be done. With cold calls as well, you have to be prepared to get rejection as well. I'd say 99 out of 100 cold calls I make, they either don't answer, like that, perfect example, or my pitch is basically, I'm going to give my pitch away here to a lot of people, it's, hello, Mr. or Mrs. Seller of certain place. My name's Ollie here from OHRI. Look, I need 30 seconds of your time. This is a cold call. I do apologise about that, but there is a reason I'm calling about your home. Can I ask you 2 questions? And then they answer either yes or no. If they answer yes, it's like, cool, that's my first question. Second one is, look, how are you actually getting on with the other agent? Because I've been following you for a certain amount of time now and you're not sold yet. I do this, I can help you. And then you let them talk. Yeah. Go quiet, see what their response is, let them talk. But it needs to be done. Full stop.
Yeah, I think that's really important that you said about questions, because there's so many salespeople that just run at 100 miles an hour and it's just trying to shove something down your throat, and it's like, and you can spot it a mile off. I think, and there's so many different techniques, but the biggest thing with sales is just asking questions, leading questions, open questions, and then just shutting your fucking mouth.
That's what my old sales manager used to say is, ask a question, shut the fuck up.
Definitely, because what will happen then is they will speak, you'll have a pen and paper, and you'll note down certain problems that they're having. And then what happens is once you've given them their turn, it's then, right, okay, how can I now solve your problem? Yeah. You've told me, but you told me that you've been on for 10 weeks and that's really frustrating. Yeah. Did you know that our last property, or on average our properties sell in 6 weeks? Yeah. Oh, okay, you didn't know. Okay, fine. Well, you've also said that the
2
marketing...
2 weeks, actually.
2 weeks, well, there you go. You've also said that, the marketing, you've told your agent they should be on social media. Have you seen our social media? Our last video got 200,000 views. Yeah. So those kind of things. And the beauty of just letting someone talk is that you can then give them the solution to their problem. They present the problem to you, you then present the solution back.
It's also practice make perfect at the same time, isn't it? Like there is the 80-20 rule, which is 20% talking, 80% listening on calls or speaking to anyone that's of interest to you, full stop. Few questions, just shut up and listen. But it also takes a lot of practice. Like, you're not expected to be the king or queen of cold calls on your first cold call. Yeah. You're going to fuck it up most of the time. You're going to stumble over your words, or they're going to ask you a question and you're not going to be able to send a response. It's all training, because most people don't make cold calls or cold emails. They hope that they'll come to you instead. Yeah. And with my industry, I have no choice but to do it. But hopefully that changes over time a little bit. But yeah.
What are you like with building? So obviously, you've talked through the pitch and stuff, but like building rapport. Would you say that that's something you're good at, or would you say that actually your angle is slightly different?
I'm like you. I'm very good with people. I've always said this. I'm not a good estate agent. Yeah. I'm a very good people person. Yeah. Because I understand what people want. I understand what they need. I understand why they're selling. And I find out everything I can about them to help them with what they want to do. Not in like you're going through a divorce. Cool, I can bring the shit off and you'll accept it type thing because you've got no choice.
Yeah.
It's, okay, you're going through a divorce. I'm really sorry about that. Look, we'll be really sensitive around certain times, allow you to do your thing, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Advise the buyers that that's the case as well, because then everyone's on the same on the same page. But I'm a people person, full stop. And I said, I'm not a good estate agent, but I'm just very good with people, very good with listening people, very good at talking to people as well. And my partner finds it hilarious as well. I used to say, if I can't make someone laugh on an appointment, I'll never do a deal with them. It will never work, because I go through humour a lot and making it fun, because quite frankly, most industries are boring as bollocks nowadays.
Well,
really boring.
Mortgages is not the most exciting thing
Exactly.
in the world.
And like most people look at buying a property as stressful as it like comes, because you got this old man sitting behind a desk not listening to you, so on and so forth, and it's stressful. Whereas I want to make it fun. I want to make it enjoyable. I want you to then, selfishly, love it, and then refer me to your friends because you've had a really good experience. But yeah, I'm a people person.
One of the other things as well that we was talking about, and something that we've talked about quite a lot actually over the last 12 months at least, is managing cash flow when times are tough.
Yeah.
And I know that we spoke about this in episode 1.
Yeah.
But the amount of times that me and you met up and you literally had nothing.
Yeah.
You know, how do you get through? If, let's say, I don't know, what was the worst time? You had what, $1,000 in the bank? 500?
No. Worst time was I was in overdraft to personal account.
Yeah.
I was minus £1.32 in the business account because I'd gone 3 weeks. I'd spent loads of money on bills essentially, and I wasn't getting another completion for a while. And I was literally then living off whatever was in the house left. And when I mean that, I was like, beans on toast. We said first episode, beans on toast. There was a few jars of pickled onions in the cupboard as well.
How do you, with that, so when you've literally got nothing left and you can't see the next deal, you can see the next deal coming through, but it could be, you know, a good 6, 8, 10 weeks away. What prevents you from just going, sack this, I need to go and get a job, to actually just start paying myself?
I wasn't put on this planet to not succeed. Yeah. I think I say it all the time. I'm not building this company to be super. I would like to be wealthy, but I'm not. The whole purpose is not money. Yeah. I think if you chase money to start with, you're bound to fail. Full stop. But I'm trying to chase a legacy, and if I let myself down and not do it and not grind through, even with negative money, I would have let myself down anyway, because I genuinely believe I'm here for something bigger. I'm here to create a legacy. I'm here to create something long-standing, and I refuse. Just in my mindset, I refuse to not have that, essentially. But it just meant when there was minimal money, I couldn't spend any money on social marketing. I couldn't spend anything on, I couldn't bring any new instructions on. So I was stuck at 2 properties a month because that was my standard fee for different portals. So I had to go old school. I went door knocking and things like that, setting up stuff for when money was coming in, all the free stuff you can do. But managing the money, I will say to this day, and I will always say, without my partner there, I don't know what would have happened. Because all my bills, she took over all the bills for a while, because my houses, my buy-to-lets are making me a neutral. They're not making money, they're not losing money, they're paying the mortgage type thing. Yeah. So they're just sat their assets. But I wasn't making any money, bringing any money. It was stressful, it was horrible, and she was covering the bills. And then when we came out the other side, when we came out the other side, it actually made me a lot more clever with how I'm spending my money and actually keeping a lot of money in the business, investing it in actually the things that are clever to invest it in, because there is, now there's about 40, 50 grand in the company account. Fantastic, good buffer. But I still be careful with that money. Yeah. I will still limit the amount of properties I take on at one time and do it that way. But problem is, if you set your company up without funding, and you don't run into financial troubles, you're in that 1% that have done that. Well done. Congratulations. Yeah. If you're listening to this and you're in that stage, like I was, don't feel like you're on your own, because most people do this. It's what Jason said on the last podcast as well. Different kind of thing, but it's the resilience. You can work your way through that and last through. For me, my negative money came from a lawsuit that cleaned my bank account out. It was completely unnecessary, but there was a lot of things going on, which means I couldn't prevent it. But I came through that time. I'm now here. I know that I can face the tough things, and go through it. But managing money, you just got to be a lot more careful at the start. If you've got X amount of money, don't go and spend $5,000 on a flashy website. Go to Wix, get a basic website.
Yeah.
Just spend it on your lead gen, on your company, going out and meeting people and so on. I don't think you've had the same financial low as I have, but you've had kind of the same rough similar situation.
Yeah, like there has been situations where it's been like, all that's left in the money in the business account is enough to pay myself for next month.
Yeah.
If we go towards the next month and nothing else has come in, this now puts me at zero. Yeah. So that has happened a couple of times. Yeah. But to be honest, that's a fault of that. That's something that I put my hands up to and go, right, okay, well, how did that happen? Okay, fine, because it was going well.
Yeah.
And in those good times, I got a little bit too complacent and relaxed. Yeah. And expenditure went up.
Yeah.
Which then completely screwed me over in the times that are tough. So I think the biggest thing really is just knowing, right, this is what's coming in. This is what you kind of pay yourself.
Yeah.
This is what's put aside and reinvested into the business. What you're bringing in, let's say you have a, I don't know, 20 grand month. That doesn't mean that you're on 240 grand a year and then you start spending like that. That's not your money.
No.
You need to say, right, this is what I pay myself.
Yeah.
And the rest is business money that gets reinvested. So I think that is the biggest thing. And I need to I've definitely learnt my lessons so that, when things are, they've definitely picked up now.
Yeah.
So I just need to be very, very conscious of the fact that although it's going well now, there can also be quiet times. Yeah. So just, keep a reserve, make sure
you've got to have a
smart
buffer
decisions.
for your buffer type thing.
You need a buffer for your buffer, and you need a separate pot for kind of putting back into the business, whether that is a fancier website, SEO, lead generation, buying leads, marketing, all of this kind of thing, Facebook ads. So you need to be really, really mindful of that. And, that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in year one of business, I reckon.
I think what you touched on is there as well, because we've spoken about it a bit before, is the money that's coming in is not yours. You have it depends how you've set your company up.
Yeah.
But mine's a private limited company, just because the idea of when it grows makes life easier. All of the money that's coming in goes into the business account. People look at my socials, and I get messages about us all the time. And we said in the first podcast, you thought I was making millions a year just from my socials.
Yeah.
Reality is, I made £9,200 last year, and I didn't even want to pay myself that.
Yeah.
Because for tax purposes and things like that, if you earn under a certain amount, it's not taxable, all this kind of stuff. But money comes in. It's great to have the money sat in the company account, but realistically, you don't go taking loads out.
Yeah.
The reality of my life is me and my partner, when I used to work at my old company, I said, loads of good things to do, loads of fun, Michelin-star restaurants every other week, lived the absolute life. Nice clothes, get to go and buy my partner Louboutin shoes every so often, because why not? Now, I don't think I've got to paraphrase this. I love what I do for a living. I love my company. Every day, I don't feel like I go to work. I actually enjoy what I do. But outside of the company, I don't think I've done, other than the podcast as well, anything fun for about 18 months since the company started. But I'm prepared to sacrifice the first part now that I realise when the money got so thin from at the start spending stupid money on websites, loads on social marketing, like excessive on social marketing. But now the money's coming in, I can start to do more fun things, but just be careful with what you're doing with your money. Spend most of your first 2 years reinvesting back into the company. Take what you need to take, personal wise. Don't go taking too much more than that. It's nice to go on holidays. It's nice, you've gone on loads of holidays type thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to go on holidays, but it's also maybe put some expenditure aside for 1 or 2 holidays a year, maybe.
Definitely.
But then don't go, fuck me, I've just made, my biggest month so far as a company, 28 grand in 1 month.
Yeah.
Don't go, fuck me, I've just made 28 grand. I'm going to pay myself 20 grand. I'm going to go away to Dubai. I'm going to go to the Maldives for 2 weeks and have a life.
Yeah.
That's a recipe to kill your company in 2 seconds flat. So,
disaster. Yeah.
While starting a company, I should be really honest, while starting a company sounds very exciting and you're in control of your own thing and so on, which you are, it also comes with a hell of a lot of responsibility, a hell of a lot of money management. Also speaking to your family and your partners and everything around you and saying, like I did when I started, the next 18 months are going to be pretty horrible combined, because I will be working 18-hour days.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's the case.
I also wouldn't change that though, because I loved the chaos. I remember being employed for those 4, 5, 6 years, sitting there constantly, every single day on my way to work, just thinking about, visualizing this situation of owning my own company and building my own thing, and knowing full well that it's going to be stressful. Maybe not, I probably underestimated it. But sitting there every single day, like on my commute to work, at work, just resenting it, thinking I need to be doing more. Yeah. I need the chaos. I need to start my own thing.
Yeah, I'm made for more.
100%. So I absolutely would not change it, as stressful as it is.
Well, coming through this stress, then we'll finish on a positive note instead of going, don't start a company. Do start a company. Do go crazy. There's so much for people to do out there. Yeah. It's a lot of fun at the same time. Don't get me wrong. End goal. Because there's something we've actually not spoken about. We've talked a tiny bit.
Yeah.
What's the end goal then? If the Mortgage and Protection Hub grows the way you want it to grow, what's the goal in the future?
It's a great question, and it's something I think about all the time, and kind of pivot and go, actually, do I want this? Do I want this? Why do I want this? Is the society just telling me that I want this? But I think, what is realistic is, getting myself to a position, and some people say it's not about the money. At this stage, I might live to regret this in 15 years because I've burnt out. Right now, it's about the money. Yeah. To be completely honest with you, I say to my partner all the time, it is non-negotiable. We will live that life we want. Yeah. And fine. I appreciate I'm still young. I might in 10, 15, like I said, might in 10, 15 years have different priorities. Right now, in these years, it is money. It is building wealth so that I can then live the life that I want. So I think for me, it's getting the company to a point, and I've got kind of figures in mind, but it's getting the company to a point where I've got enough of a team to bring in to bring in enough money to pay them, pay for everything else, and draw an income, so that I can then step back, employ the right people to run the business without me, and then either draw an income, go and do something else that I'm really passionate about. Or maybe sell the business on at some point. Yeah. So it's those two things that, time will tell. AI might take over, so we might not even be in the same industry by that point.
Exactly.
But I think it's building the business to a point where I've got complete autonomy, we've got the right team in place. That will mean that I make less in the early years, which is absolutely fine. Yeah. But then I've got a well-oiled machine that will either, pay for itself and pay me, or something that I could potentially sell on and then go and do something that I'm, extremely passionate about.
I think your response is a lot more humble than mine's going to be.
Yeah.
Mine, like that is, all of what you said is exactly what I want at the same time as well. But I've been very clear to all of my socials and everything like that since I first started that OHRE is going to be the biggest brokerage style model of estate agency in the UK, full stop. I want to be the monopoly over brokerages, and I want to be I said this when I first started the company as well. I want to be death by 1,000 cuts to normal estate agency.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to take over estate agency now. I'm not going to be able to blow up in a ridiculous way where it's going to kill all estate agencies. My model is death by 1,000 cuts. Every property I take on, every broker I take on, every area I become the fastest selling agent in is another cut on the rung of where I need to be. But I will not stop till I get to that point. That will be my downfall at some point as well.
Yeah.
Because I won't stop.
Yeah.
But I will be OHRE or whatever it's branded to in the future, might change brand, will be the biggest brokerage in the UK. And I won't stop till I get there.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's, obviously still a great ambition. I think for me, I'm not overly interested about being the biggest name in the mortgage world. And quite frankly, will I be in it for the rest of my life? I don't know.
No.
It's it's a business that I'm good at and that I know that has potential and I can grow, which will then lead me, I believe, into something else. Where I might be a little bit more
investing in things and things like that, and going to other people's companies and so on, or starting a different thing. But I think, I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where I think the lucky thing, because with mortgages, as we said earlier in the podcast, and we're getting close to the end of time to wrap up, mortgages, there's not much that's changed other than trying to do the social stuff. There's already big companies and so on, and there's not obviously self-employed, the same way in a estate agency, you can branch out and do it like that. But there's not a huge amount of movement, realistically, maybe, in terms of new versions you can set up.
Well, where it's going, I know we haven't got too much time, but there's a lot in this kind of fintech space of financial technology. Huge.
Yeah.
There will come a point where 90% of the role similar to agency is cut out.
Yeah.
You'll still need some form of advice, I believe, and people will still want human interaction. But the big players, and that's probably why I'm like, I'm going to have to raise millions to compete. You know, and I'm probably underrating my ability to raise that money.
It'll come. Don't worry, it'll come.
There's these big corporate companies that are already monopolising and investing in this heavy AI tech and all this jazz. You know, fair play to them. But that is absolutely where it's going.
We'll both get there. And the good thing about the podcast as well is, if we're doing these individual ones every so often, the people listening or watching get to come along on the journey with us, not just listen to the guests how they've done it, but with us at the same time. And see how we explode and do it that way.
Last question.
Go on.
How much money is enough money?
That's a really good question. I don't know, is my honest answer. I think it massively depends on where you live, what you do for a living, and so on. I think for me, I don't know, because there is a certain point where money doesn't really mean anything to you anymore. Like, I think if you get past,
probably at like the 10 million.
I think about 5 to 10 million, depending on where you live in the world. But 10 in London, I think 10 million, really nice house, really nice life. Kids go to private school, this kind of stuff. 10
million, you got 5% yield on that. It's 500 grand a year of just pocket money.
My personal thing is, in the future, I want to sell my company for more than my dad sold his company for.
Which was?
I'm not going to say on the podcast. But it was a lot. But I think it's all subjective, isn't it? For some people earning, for me, when I was earning 170 grand a year, that was enough money. That was great. Now I can see the bigger money coming in and the investment and everything. I want to be in the 9 figures when I sell.
And by the way, we can debate this until we're blue in the face. We absolutely know that when we hit that figure,
it won't stop. We'll keep going.
Of course it won't stop.
We'll keep going.
So all part of the fun. But,
absolutely. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much again for watching us. Make sure you do drop us a follow on Spotify, on Instagram and everything, because it does help us and it helps us reach new people. But I've been Ollie.
I'm Sam.
And that was episode 3 of Open Book.
Open Book.
Thank you very much.
Good stuff, mate.
Lovely.